Well done. Peter.
Thank you very much. Hello, Commissioner.
No.
Carrying on on the subject of violent crime, it's extremely alarming that there's been something like a 20% rise in rape in London. This was something we discussed as far back, I think, as February, when your colleagues were here. 20% rise, that means basically up from 6,392 to about 7,600 odd. Now, I think in any other circumstances, you know, if we didn't have, for example, the knife crime thing we have at the moment, this would be and should be a phenomenal sort of statistic, I think, 20%. When we discussed it in February, your colleagues seemed to say that they said they were unsure, they didn't know what was happening, why. I think the quote that I have here is that there's something going on with sexual offending, but no, we don't really have any idea as to why. We don't understand it. What do you think's behind it, Commissioner?
So firstly, I don't think it's a 20% rise in the last year, whereas the other...
This is from 20%. We were meeting in February, so it was 20% from 12 months to the end of January this year.
Right.
I mean, this sort of rather slipped under the net, actually, or rather, it wasn't really taken up. To me, it's horrifying.
Can I just, sorry, Deputy Mayor, can I just be helpful? The latest figures
we'll get the latest figures.
On the report, actually, which is to May, year on year, is actually 19%.
Okay.
So it's close to what you were saying in the previous May.
Thank you.
And
I think it was Craig who answered the question last time.
For the sake of clarity, in terms of how we answered it, it was to lead into the piece of research that has been commissioned. We don't know all of the reasons why, and we can't give you an empirical answer as to why that's gone up. Are we concerned about it? We've spoken a number of times, absolutely concerned about it, because if it was just 19% in the abstract, that's bad enough, but as we've talked about over the last 5 years, there has been a continuing increase in reporting of rape.
So what's the research that you've commissioned?
It's research that's being undertaken by MOPAC. We discussed it last time in February, in fact, and I'm expecting the result of it in the summer. What it's doing is getting beneath those, the presumptions. Is it about confidence in coming forward as reporting, or is it about an increase in actual incidents, or is it a combination of the two? Yeah. That's a piece of research that's been undertaken, and as I said, I'm expecting it to come to me by the end of August.
As I understood it, I think you said that it wasn't actually, this couldn't just be about reporting, increase in reporting. If you say something like there is something going on with sexual offending in London, that's horribly ominous and very vague. What are the terms of the research exactly? What actually are you looking at?
What we're looking at is trying to get underneath the increase in reports and to understand whether it is an increase in confidence, how much of it's historical or how much of it's relatively new, and whether it's about confidence or whether it's actually about an increase in incidents, or it's a combination of the two. That's what we're trying to get beneath, and that's what the research will get beneath. I'm expecting that report and the research to come to conclusion in the summer. And we're very happy to share it with you, and obviously
yes,
it'll be published anyway. So,
yeah.
Like to write to us about, after this, about your terms of reference, some detail that you'd like.
I think this is the point, really. I mean, I'm just sort of surprised, I mean, just purely on terms of experience and, everyday experience, that you don't have any sort of idea as to why this might be happening. I mean, if it requires sort of a piece of research, it just seems a bit odd to me, really.
No, because this is an area, a bit like many other types of crime, where we already know there is massive under-reporting. So I think I responded to the question. It would be wrong for us to say, oh, it's all right, this is all just an increase in reporting, people are more confident in us. We genuinely don't have the empirical evidence, and that's why it's right and proper this piece of research is done collectively. We have lots of ideas. My colleague who's sat in front of you before and talked about this, Martin Hewitt, leads nationally on some of these issues, and this is something that's happening across the country. What we don't have is, so it's important we do this piece of research to understand this. It would be awfully complacent of me to say, don't worry, this is all about a rise in confidence, move on. That's absolutely not what I was saying now, and it's not what I said then. So we know, so we can look at some quite easy parts of the data, how much of this rise is offences where the offence occurred sometime before it's reported, timelines, we can do that. But until we complete this research, we won't be able to say empirically this is what we do, because that informs the policy response.
I think that's a fair response.
Okay, just to say that I mean, a little bit like with knife crime, I mean, you know, you say there's great concern, but these figures, in any other context, if you like, in the one where we didn't have something like knife crime going on, these would be headline figures. 20% rise in rape would be a headline figure. And, you know, this is extraordinary that this is not more made.
We don't disagree with it.
I
They
don't
are
think there's any
headline
disagreement.
figures.
They may well now be a headline figure, Peter, after this conversation.
They
But
absolutely.
Peter, I completely agree with you. It is absolutely,
Okay,
the
that's
amount
why
of
we're doing-
violence against women and
I think
girls
we
in
get it.
London is shocking.
Yeah.
MOPAC also, it's not just the actual reported incidents that are really, really concerning. We published a sexual violence needs assessment a year ago, which showed that in every one of the 32 London boroughs in London, every week a woman or girl is raped, and that is shocking, absolutely. And it's one of the, you know, we've published a violence against women and girls strategy. It's one of the priorities, and it is getting equal attention from us and from the Metropolitan Police in terms of delivery. And this piece of research is an important piece of evidence. I'm really happy to, I'm sure, you know, I'm really happy for whoever's conducting, for the Evidence and Insight team to come and talk to you about that piece of research, if that would be helpful.
That would
or
be
to the
very good.
PCC.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay,
to
I'm
brief
sure
you on
Peter will
that.
take that off.